Hi guys, Jim here again with another Sudoku video. Today we'll be looking at Killer Sudoku, which I think many of you will have heard of, and it's part of the collection presented by the Cracking the Cryptic team. Cracking the Cryptic, a couple of YouTubers who have been solving puzzles on the channel for years. Really good videos, would definitely recommend checking them out if that's the sort of thing you're interested in, and you're here, so presumably it is. Also, they've put out these curated lists of puzzles. I say curated, they are a collection of 100 variant Sudoku puzzles, and they've been handcrafted with really elegant logical solves, and they've got hints to help you get through them. They're very tough, they start hard and get harder, but I think they're some of the best puzzles I've ever solved. So you know, you can get them on your PC or you can get them on your phone. Really recommend checking them out. You know, they're not particularly expensive, and it obviously helps out the channel. So yeah, strongly encourage, have a look. In the meantime, I get to play this Killer Sudoku today. So let's see. I don't know why I've got continue as an option. Right, it's not letting me click continue, so I think it's fine. Right, so we did solve one beginner killer last time. So let's go back to the standard. I'm just going to sprinkle in the beginners every now and then to try and keep it up. So right, yeah, this does happen. So for some reason I finished this puzzle, but it thinks that I carried on. So if this happens to you, and it's annoying because it gives you this little flag to basically say you're still doing this puzzle even though I have finished it, easiest way is to just click on new and then immediately just back out of it and then it realizes that you've done it, but it still considers the puzzle to have been solved, right? So I have best time 20 minutes and 1 second. Right. So if we go back to difficulty order, what's next for us? Okay, so the next puzzle available is puzzle number 2, which is a 2-star difficulty puzzle. So it's by Richard Stolk. Oh, that's nice. So again, they've got a named person who prepared this puzzle, who designed it, I guess. So yeah, let's jump into it, see how we get on. So Killer, as I say, I imagine some of you probably familiar with Killer. So in addition to the usual Sudoku rules of each box, row and column needing to have the digits 1 through 9 exactly once, you also get these cages, and in these cages the cells must add up to the number at the top left of that cage. Additionally, the digits cannot repeat in the cage, so if you have a weird shaped digit that sort of a weird shaped cage that sort of juts out in different directions, for instance this one here, the normal rules of Sudoku would say these two digits could be the same because they're not in the same row, box or column, but in Killer they can't, right? So that's just an additional constraint. Yeah, let's get going. Now the main thing that's useful with this program, if you like, is that this actually shows you down here, it's a really good quality of life thing, that if you want to make 18 in 4 cells, all different, these are the ways you can do it, and it's really useful. And as you go, kind of as you fill out the grid, you can actually like tick them off as well, and it will, if you then came back to it, so if I tick these off for whatever reason, then I came back to it later, these would remain ticked off. So yeah, really handy sort of quality of life feature that. Right, so I can see instantly that we can do this. So in Killer, one of the obvious things to look for is a group of 9 that are in a row or in a column or in a box that are missing 1 cell, because you know that the digits that are the digits 1 through 9 add up to 45. It's just maths. there's no secret logic there. That's just 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 all the way up to 9. That equals 45. And if I look in this row, so this row by itself will add up to 45 for sure. And here we've got a box that adds up to 10 and a box that adds up to 26. And there's only one thing missing here, so if I add these two together I get 36, so this has to be a 9, it just has to, in order to make this work. I don't know what necessarily order these go in, but now I know for a fact that's a 9. And actually 10 in 4 cells is interesting, it can only be 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'll pop that in for reference for later. What else have we got? 23 in 3 cells can be 6, 8, 9. So there are certain combinations that are useful to kind of memorize. the triangle numbers, right? So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and you build up like that, because that's the minimum amount you can ever put in a cell. So if a cell is that, then you know it has to be those. And then the other way around, the maximum, so 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. And then there's slight variance, right? So 7 isn't the minimum you could put in 3 cells. That would be 1, 2, and 3 to give 6. But, excuse me, but because you can't repeat digits, actually 1, 2, and 4 is the only way to make 7 from 3 digits. So I also know that 1, 2, 4 happens to be a 7. 24 is the maximum, so that's 7, 8, 9. Off of 3 cells, of course. If it's 24 off of more than 3 cells, then there's more ways you can do it. What else are we looking at here? Well, I know, yeah. So you could have done this, right? Now it just so happens that I can't have 1, 2, 3, or 4, but you could like rule out all the ones that have a 9 in, for instance, whatever. So this has to be a 5, 6, 7, and 8 quadruple. So again, worth just jotting that down. This is a 1, 2, 3 down at the bottom. Killers do take a little bit of time. This might be a bit of a longer video. So 22 from 3 cells can only be one of 2 things, 5, 8, 9 or 6, 7, 9. Now the interesting thing is they both have a 9. You cannot make 22 without using a 9. If you did 8, 7, 6, that adds up to 21. No, that adds up to 23. That's too big. No, it's 21. Yeah, sorry. As of 21, not big enough. So there has to be a 9 in these 3 cells, and there's a 9 there, right? So that is our 9 in those 3, which is useful. So this is asking us to make 20 from 3 cells without using a 9, because obviously it's in the same box. So that's going to limit that to only being a 5, 7, and 8. This 18 must have a 9. Is that particularly restrictive? It's not the worst. 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 2, 6. So that's worth just bearing in mind, isn't it? So I'm just looking for sort of any other obvious combinations that I kind of know about, but or the alternative is to look for bits where you've got a collection of 9 cells with that 1 cell sticking out. Now this is interesting, because what you know about this, it's not that helpful. What you know is these cells add up to 40 and these cells add up to 45, and they differ by these 2 cells, right? So the 40 has this cell but doesn't have this cell. So the way to think about that is if you took this cell away, let's say the cell was a 1, right? You took this cell away, that would mean these cells added up to 39, and therefore this would be a 6. So you know that these cells differ by 5. So if this was a 2, it's the same thing, right? So you ask the question, if this is a 2 and I removed it from that 40 sum, this would leave these being 38, and therefore that would have to be a 7. Now actually that is really powerful, because that can't be a 7, and if that's a 3 that has to be an 8, if that's a 4 that has to be a 9. So actually it happens that the example I gave, 1 and 6, is correct. So that's actually a really powerful deduction, so I'm quite happy I stumbled into that one. And we can do a very similar thing here, right? So again, so this time it's the other way around. So the combined sum is 52. So the question you then ask yourself is, okay, if you took that out, right? So let's say that was the 5 and you took that out. Suddenly this would be equal to, so these cells, oh yeah, I can see how this works. This is beautiful. If you took 5 off of that, these cells would then add up to 47. Well, you know that doesn't work because all of these cells have to add up to 45. So this would have to be a -2. So actually, it's the same thing. These cells differ by 7. So these two cells must differ by 7 the other way round. So in this case, this was smaller than this. In this case, because this is bigger than 45, this must be bigger than this. And they differ by 7, and you've only got 8 as an option that potentially sums that. So that must be 1, 8, and 1. So that's lovely again. So that's really nice logic. I like that a lot. Okay, we can probably do some damage here. Yeah. So if I want to make 13 and I can't use 5, 6, or 7, I must be using 4 and 9. And then to complete the box, that must be 2, 3, and 8. And then similarly over here, if I want to make 13 without using a 4 or a 6, this must be a 5 and an 8. This must be a 1, a 9, and a 7 to complete the box. Okay. What else then? Well now this 8 here sorts this out. So this 9 means that these two would see this 8, so it can't be 9, 8 and something, so it must be 9, 6 and 7. So this is a 6, 7 pair, and in fact I can sort it out because of the 6 in that row. So that's really good. Yeah, this is still quite a few options here, although it can't have an 8 in it, so I can rule that out. Well, it can't have a 1. Oh, that's powerful, isn't it? It can't have a 1 because these cells always see a 1 of some description, so that 1 rules out a 1 there, and then that 1 rules out these two as being a 1. So it can't have a 1. So it must be 2, 3, 6 or 2, 4, 5. They're both possible, but there's definitely a 2. So I'll pop that there's definitely a 2 there. Still quite a few combinations there available to us, aren't there? What about this? This 18 can't have a 5 in it. Yeah, that's not very powerful. Similarly, this 16 can't have a 1. Again, that doesn't rule out as much as I'd like. Okay, I think I'm talking too quietly. I don't think I'm going to be coming through my mic well enough. Right, let me try and keep my voice more consistent. Okay, lovely. I hadn't spotted this. So there's a 7, 8, 9 down here. This is a 1, a 7 or a 9. Can't be 7, 9 because they're both ruled out by that. So this must be the 1. There's 1 here for sure in one of those two. This 7, 8, 9 also does work on this as well, doesn't it? So that must be a 5 and an 8. Yeah, can I get similar use out of this 6? I can, yes, so this must be the 8. And then there's a 1 in one of these cells, which, well, you can't put a 1 here. So normally 17 off of 2 cells would be not too bad, because you can do it with a 9 and an 8, but you can't put an 8 here because it sees that one. So there's definitely not a 1 there. So there is a 1 in one of these 2 cells. Oh, well, there's a 1 here anyway, so that rules that out in a much more easy manner. We've got 5 in one of these 2 cells because of the 5s here and here. We've got a 9 down here for sure. Wow, look how many combinations there are. That's crazy. 14. Well, that 14 can't have a 1, can it? Because there's a 1 here and a 1 here. So that must be a 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me do it like that. It's a bit neater. So that's a 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 1, 2, 4 group in there. So that rules out 2 and 4 from these. And that's a 2, 3. That's a 3, 5 pair, and they must be different cells in here. So that must be a 2 and a 4. So suddenly that's really useful. Does that sort this out? Yes, this must be a 6. So there's 9 left here. which I think is okay. There's quite a few options. Well, I said there's quite a few options, but that can't be a 1-8 and it can't be a 3-6. So that can only be a 4-5 or a 2-7. I might actually note that down, 4-5 or 2-7. And then of course that can't be a 7 because of the 7 down here. And that can't be a 5. So even though it's not a pair, I can't use it to determine anything else about this row. It's still quite limited, so that's useful. This can't have a 5, can it? Because the 5 there and there. So that can't have a 5, so actually that's brought this down to quite a manageable collection of... Oh, I also can't have an 8 because of that 8 and then the virtual 8 down here. So there's not an 8 here, so that rules that out. So there must be a 3. Getting there slowly. There must be a 3 in there. Ah, okay. Sorry, I've been a bit blind here. Yes, so look at this. So even though this is actually quite a spiky box in that all these 3 cells spit out, well, we know what these 2 are. So this whole group adds up to 60, but if we take out this middle box, that leaves these 3 cells, and they must add up to 15, and we've got 6, 6 here, so that must be a 3, so that's nice. That is nice. Ah, does that complete this? No, it doesn't complete the row, does it? But that must be a 5-8 to go with that cell. So, yeah, whittling away very slowly, very, very slowly. Ah, sorry, I could have done this a while back. So that's 3-5 pair, rules out the 5 from there. So in fact, this is a 5-4 pair to make the 9. So that's good. Actually, I think that's done quite done quite a lot of damage. That rules that out. So this is a 3-6-7. That can't be a 6 because there's a 6 in the row. That can't be a 7 because there's a virtual 7 there. So that's a 3-6, which means that can't be a 3. That must be the 2. That's a 9-7 in that order, sorted out by this 7 down here. This is 18. Well, what's missing from the box? 1, 2, 8 and 9. Is that right? Yeah, sorry, that wasn't 18. That's 19 that adds to, isn't it? Yes. And then that can't be an 8 or a 9. So in fact, it is a. Excuse me. It is in fact a 2. I don't know how I do that. The numpad, the 8 and the 2 are obviously opposite each other. And I sometimes just put the wrong one in. Ah, okay, so this is sorted this 2 out. So there's a 2 down there. There can't be a 2 here. In fact, there must be a 2 here. But it could be that and that could both be 2. So this little weird 3-way sort of pencil marking, that could either be doing the job of both of those and both of those, or they could be shared like that. So that's not quite revealed its secrets to me just yet. Ah, 5-8. I've done this wrong, haven't I? Oh yeah, at some point I accidentally pencil marked a 9 in there, I don't know why. But this is a 5-7-8 triple. Which sees this cell, so that cannot be an 8, and in fact must be a 9, and therefore this must be an 8. And now I think we are getting somewhere. Right, so 8 and 8 here act on this box, so 8s must be up here, and there's an 8 there as well, so that sorts that out. That leaves 10. And I can't use 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, that's powerful, isn't it? So that must be a 4-6, and that sorts this out because that can't be a 4 anymore, so that must be a 9 and a 4 in that order. There is definitely a 4 in one of these 2 cells. Oh, that's lovely, because there's definitely a 4 here as well. So the 4 in these 2 cells, so that's because this 4 and this virtual 4 rule this lot out, and you can't put 4 in a 23 cage. So there's a 4 there, and a 4 there. And then what this is an X-wing, or it sort of, you ask the question, if you put a 4 here, so this has got two options. It's either a 4 or it's a 2. So if you put a 4 there, well in this bit now, that must be a 4. Or you could put a 4 here, and that must be a 4. Those are the two ways around. Either way, in these rows, you can't put any more 4s, because you can only have 2 4s across 2 rows. So that cannot be a 4. That's the long way around. So that's a 1 and a 4. Does that resolve the 1s? Not quite. Yeah, still tricky solve. We're not. It's not revealing its secrets. That's a 6-9 pair now, isn't it? So that must be an 8. So that must be a 5, and that must be an 8. That's nice. Oh, I don't know when this was sorted out. That was sorted out when I put the 4 in there, but that's a 3 and a 4 in that order. There, see, that's the power of using this software. The pencil marks kind of automatically take care of themselves as you populate the grid, which is really handy. Let's be honest. Okay. I feel like we could probably do some damage here. Well, it can't have an 8, right? Because both of these two 8s see all of these cells. So we can't have an 8. Yeah, that's not that restrictive, actually. I can't have a 5 either, because this 5, the only place for 5 could go here would be in this cell, because there's a 5 in this box, but this cell sorts that out. So this can't have a 5, and that's a bunch more restrictive. So it's one of 3 things. Can I have an 8? Ah, I can't have an 8 either. Yeah, okay, fine. Now it's within my grasp. Oh no, I'd already ruled out 8. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Can't have a 4. So the 4 here, and then the 4 here. Same sort of thing, right? So it can't have a 4. Rules that out. So it's either, so it must have a 1 and a 9. Okay. So the 9 must be here. I'm sort of clutching at straws a little bit, and the 1 could be either of these places. That's not very helpful. Oh, sorry, excuse me. The 9 can't be there. There's a 9 in the box. Right, okay, so at least, so that's a 9. So that's sorted. And then there could be a 1 here. And then otherwise it's 2, 7, 3, 6. So I could note that. So it's 1, 2, 7, 3, 6. And then that can't be a 7. Or a 2. Oh, sorry. So, in fact, yes, it can't have a 2, 7. Can it? Because the 2 and the 7 are there, so you'd have to put both 2 and 7 in here. So this is, in fact, 1, 3, 6, 9, and the 9, 1, 3, 6, 9. So let me get rid of 2, 7 there. That one can't be a 3. Here we go. So this is an interesting one. So this is a triple across this row. So that is a 1, 3, 6 triple. So the only place for the, yeah, basically the other way to look at that is where can you put a 4 in this row? Well, it can only go here. So that's a 4 and a 6 to sort that box out. And yes, this is a 3 and a 6. So we know 6 is in one of these two. Okay, and it can't go there because that was a 6. That would be a 2, but there's a 2, 4 already in the box. So that must be the 6. So this is a 1, 3 pair. Oh, we knew that already. Did we know that already? Maybe. Yeah, once that 6 went in, we knew that, didn't we? Anyway, whatever. Okay, so then this lets us ask this question. So what's all this added together? Well, this lovely handy calculator tells us it's 57. So these 3 must add up to 12. And those 2 already add up to 7, so this must be a 5. Which sorts out this 5, 3 pair in the box over here. What are we missing here? We're missing 1, 7, and 2. 1, 7, and 2. And that can't be a 1, so this must be the 1. And a 7. And a 5, therefore, and a 7. Have I resolved this yet? Ah, this now can't have a 1. So this is a 2, 3, 4, 9. So these are 2, 3, and 4. And this can't be a 2 or a 3 because of the 2, 3 pair in the box over there. So that is a 4. That can't be a 3 because of the 3 already in the row. So that is a 2. And therefore that is a 3. This is a 2 to complete the row. This is a 5 to complete the row. That isolates 5 in that top box. I think that's our last 5. Yeah, so our first digit, we've got all of them. It's 5, which is very nice. That's a 4. I mean, we're so close now, aren't we? Come on. So these two are 8 and 6. And I know the order because of that 8 there, so that's nice. So that is 8, 6. These 3 together now add up to 19, so that is a 1, which resolves this 9, this 3, this 6, this 2, this 1, this 7, this 2. Yeah, okay, now we're basically on the home straight. Finishing the marathon, stumbling towards the finish line. Got a 4 and a 2 over here. We got a 7 and a 9 and an 8. Oof, we got a 4. And then what do we need to finish the box? We need a 7, and then we need a 3 and a 9 to complete the puzzle. Fantastic. Yeah, I love a killer. Killer Sudokus are great. I'm not great at mental arithmetic or anything, but you know, I just like the way the logic kind of flows around a bit. So yeah, that was me solving that puzzle. Really enjoyed it, as ever. Strongly recommend you check out the guys, as I've already been through at the start of the video. Links in the description. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, if you have been, and I will see you next time. Cheers.